Hi, this is Mrs. Downey with Algebra 2, and today we are covering Chapter 6, Section 4, Rational Exponents. The objective today is to simplify expressions with rational exponents. So in Algebra 1 we worked with exponents, and now we're going to work a lot more with exponents that are fractions. We're going to learn how to convert those to rational numbers, and the first thing I want you to do is read the bell work here. Simplify the formula below with a equal 25 and n equal 2. So our formula is a to the power of 1 over n equals the nth root of a. So simplify that by plugging in the numbers. Do that in your math journals. Okay, when you do this, I said that a is 25, so we should have 25 to the 1 over, and n is 2, so 25 to the 1/2 is what you should have written first. And then when we convert that, and this is actually a rule we're going to start to use from here on. If we have 25 or any number to a fractional power, we can convert that like this. We can say that is the square root, because n is 2, of 25. And actually, because it's a square root, we just do 25, which comes out to 5. Okay, now let's do that again with a equals 8 and n equals 3. When you do that, now we're going to get the cubic root. We're going to get 8 to the 1/3 equal the cubic root of 8, which is equal to 2. So in your own words, in your math journal now, I want you to conclude something about this. Just write it in your own words. What are your conclusions about what we just did? So pause the video and come back when you're ready. Okay, so now that we're done with our first page, let's move on with our conclusions. Now let's do the same again with some new numbers. And then we're going to take it one step further. So it says, let's do the same here. Let a equal 7. So we're going to have 7 to the m over n. So m is 4, n is 3. So if we have a fraction like 4/3 as a power, we can simplify that to this. The denominator, the bottom one, becomes our index. A is still our main number. And the top one is the power. Think of this, strong on top, power. So that's the power. That's the root, or the index, right? And so this is what we get. And we can now also say that this is true. The cubic root of 7 to the 4th power. These are the same. All three of these are the same. So now we're going to put these to use with our work. So we have some essential understanding here. You can pause and read this. And it's just stating what we said a moment ago. If we have the square root of 36, we can do this backwards. You know, that was a square, right? And this would be your a down there. So we can say that this is 36 to the 1/2 power. And then look at the next one. We have the cubic root, so that's 1/3 to be a cubic root, and 64. And then the last one, whoops, went right through that. There we go. So the last one, we can say that the fourth root of 16 is 16 to the 1/4 power. Okay. So now, looking at problem 1, we're going to do more of the same. Simplify each expression. And they give us, what is the simplified form of each expression? So they give us 216 to the 1/3 power. So we know that's going to be the cubic root of 216. And now look at the right side. We have 7 to the 1/2 times 7 to the 1/2. And that's going to be radical 7 times radical 7. So rewrite them as radicals first. And then we know that 216, if you have a quick calculator, is 6 cubed. So we have the cubic root of 6 cubed, and we know that that's going to cancel out to be 6. And over here we had radical 7 times radical 7. We know that's going to be 7. So there's 2 quick problems for you for problem 1. And I would like to pause right here and have you open your workbooks and work the first 3 problems, 1, 2, and 3, on 6-4 practice K. So pause now. There's one other problem I didn't show before I set you loose on your homework, and that is the 3rd problem here. When we're multiplying powers with fractional denominators, we can combine that. So we can say 5 to the 1/4 power is the 4th root of 5, and 125 to the 1/4 power is the 4th root of 125. Now, what we can do is multiply those together. The 4th root of 5 times 125, which is the 4th root of 625. And if you plug that into a calculator, you quickly find that that root of 4th root is 5. Now you can work number 3. So pause here. If you need more work or more practice, here's the got it's. All right. So we know that this is the square root of 64, which is 8. And what do we have here? That's the square root of 11 times square root of 11, which is just square root of 121, which is 11 times 11, which is 11. Okay? And then that's the square root of 3 times square root of 12, which becomes the square root of 3 times 12, which is 36, which is 6. Okay, problem 2, we're going to come in and say converting between exponential and radical forms. So what are x to the 3/7 and y to the negative 3/5 in radical form? So x to the 3/7 becomes, like we did at the beginning, the 7th root of x cubed, or we can say the 7th root of x cubed. And the second one, y to the negative 3/5 equals y to the negative 7/2. And that we're going to write as 1 over y to the 7/2, because remember the rule for negative exponents, which becomes 1 over y, the square root of y to the 7th, which we can break up to 1 over the square root of y to the 6 times y, and that means we can take out our y cubed here, times radical y, or we can say, excuse me, delete that. So these are the 2 answers that are acceptable. Okay, either way, and we're going to pause here. Okay, I've not got enough time just to do this last one. We've got, what is the square root of a to the 5th? And we're going to say that that is a to the 5th times 1/2, or a to the 5/2. And this one, the 5th root of b cubed, becomes? B to the 1/5 times 3 or B to the 3/5?